And I am glad to see many Korean companies participating in these infrastructure investments. For example, I have been joking in Mindanao that the Cagayan de Oro Iligan Corridor should be called the Hanjin Corridor because Hanjin has practically constructed every important infrastructure there, including the road and now the Laguindingan Airport, International Airport. In parallel, we're also focused on further raising revenues through improvements in tax administration and a public-private sector fund to support the initiatives in the resiliency plan. And we count on the leaders of the Philippine business community like Bulletin President Mike Varela to make this private-public sector fund a reality as soon as possible. On the corporate front, we have provided tax relief for the private sector by reducing corporate income tax from 35 to 30%. Also, exempting minimum wage earners from personal income tax and increasing personal exemptions. And to further enhance social protection, we are raising the allocation of conditional cash grants to the poorest households. We are doubling the funds for the National Health Insurance Program to ensure the full national government contribution to that fund. And we are doubling the allocation for the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, which is the recipient of Korean grants, incidentally. All these among other healthcare and education initiatives. Finally, we are ensuring that advocate support is provided to our workers, both domestically and overseas, through retraining programs to ensure they remain competitive and able to fully take advantage of job opportunities and find higher paying jobs, and also through reintegration services and livelihood assistance should any expatriate workers in Korea or in any part of the world return to the Philippines. We are doing all this to take care of our people during the difficult times for the whole world, but also to ensure that when you, the Korean investors, invest in the Philippines, if you decide to go into the export market, you have the skilled Filipinos, the great Filipino worker making you competitive. And if you decide to invest for the domestic market, you have the consumer, the Filipino consumer, who has the ability and the willingness to pay for the products that you produce. This morning, I had a visitor, an American CEO of one of the large corporations, dealing in not export, but services for the domestic market. And he was telling me about how though in his home country, even during the height of the Christmas season, hardly anybody was buying things in the malls and department stores and boutiques. But he went to a mall yesterday on a Tuesday, and it was so crowded with consumers. So he is very confident about the consumption patterns of our country. I told him if that was the crowd you saw on a Tuesday, can you imagine what it will be if you were to go on Friday evening or Saturday anytime during the day? So, dear friends from Korea, we must help our two countries navigate the current world economic crisis. We must combine the wisdom of our shared past and an enthusiasm for our common future to create a firm and strategic bond of cooperation. Very few relations exceed the warmth and depth that is found in the cordial and amiable friendship between the Philippines and Korea. Koreans are such a visible part of any scenery in the Philippines. In Baguio, for instance, in the John Hay Country Club, for every one Filipino flight, you will find 5 Korean flights. They're there, they, they stay there, their children study English, and they play golf, and they are very much a part of that community, and we're only talking about one of the many that have Koreans as a very visible part of the community. I flew over an area in northern Cebu, and I saw a golf course dedicated to Korean players. And I saw a very nice housing project dedicated to the players who want to stay there, whether a few days, a few weeks, a few months, or a few years, depending on what they are doing in the Philippines. And so, this is our relationship 60 years after we started. And also, after that first flight to the Philippines, mentioned by Mr. Chang, when there were only 5 passengers coming to the Philippines. Well, we heard from Mr. Chang that 60 years represents an important milestone in Korean philosophy. He said 60 years symbolizes the beginning of a new cycle, a fresh start, a new round. So this year is a fresh start for our 2 countries as we celebrate our yesteryears with an eager participation of a stronger, brighter tomorrow. Notwithstanding the global economic crisis, I am optimistic that the future is bright. Bright for the Philippines, bright for Korea, bright for a more vigorous partnership and a meaningful interaction between our 2 countries and our 2 peoples. Thank you. Kamsahamnida.